what your costs are, what your costs are, what your price is, and how big of a problem that is going to be to your marketplace so that you can make that biggest number possible. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the race to the bottom, and you don't want to be a commodity. These are
I
things that
don't
are
know how to
often,
take the straw.
sorry. Okay, so these are things that we often hear and we often say to small business owners. What that means is you don't want to get to a position where you're selling this candle based and pricing it based on the lowest possible price you can do of your based from your competitors. When my competitors sell it for $5, I'm going to sell it for $4. Well, that's not really giving you any value, especially if it costs you $8 to make. You want to bring value to the marketplace because the amount of money your business makes is directly connected to the amount of value you bring to the marketplace. I want to say that again. The amount of money your business makes is directly connected to the amount of value that you bring to the marketplace. I want you to also recognize that before you were ever a business owner, you were a customer. So when you're thinking about how you are setting your business up and how that business model lays out, think about the businesses that you are a customer for. How did they determine you were a target customer? What makes you their target customer? Do you have brand loyalty for that particular business? I'll tell you, you'll never come to my house and not find Viva paper towels. I literally will send some back if they come and they're not my regular Viva paper towels, because that's what my brand, where my brand loyalty lies with paper towels, especially the signature cloth. Don't get me started. Love me some Viva. So do you have brand loyalty like that? And are you able to build that kind of brand loyalty with your customers? So that if you say to your customer, well, it used to cost me $3 for this jar, but because of the supply chain issues, it's now costing me $5. So I've got to raise my price of the candle. If you have that brand loyalty, your customers will pay it. They will say, all right, it's no longer $10, it's $12, but I'm going to pay it because I love that scent. I love the way it fills my house up with that beautiful scent, and we'll pay it. So that's where you are looking to do when you make that business model. It is all of that. It is how I'm going to hire, because you don't want to be the only one that's doing all the things in your business for the life of your business. When you start out, that's going to be a necessity just because that's what we do with small businesses. But that should not be your model. So I want you to key in on that term. This is the model for my business. And as I grow, I'll be able to follow this model to where I can hire. Does anybody have questions on that?
No.
Okay.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
And I put it in there a lot of times, and I just want to put it out there early. A lot of times for the business that I have, I'm more of an endorser for, say, skincare products or clothing products, because I'm an online influencer as well as an MC. So I really want to take something from this on how to make my business model more, I don't even know how to say it, more needed in certain aspects of the community, so to speak.
I would say to you, because it's that type of business is one that you wouldn't necessarily have employees per se. So what you're thinking as a business model in that case is, how will my business make money without my direct effort? Are there products I can create? Is there some way that I can structure the way I charge my customers so that it's passive versus me having to actually get in there and do something? Because you want your business to get to the point where you can. One of the other things that your business model should have is called an exit strategy. Meaning at that day when I'm saying I'm done working, I'm too old, or I'm too young. I want to get out and have fun. I don't want to be stuck with this business and having to do this business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your business exit strategy should show you how you're going to either sell the business, how you're going to hire someone to kind of take over that business and spend that income off to you, or how you're going to dissolve the business. So when you're thinking of that business model for you, you should be saying, how can I create that side income, that side structure that through the activities that I'm doing with emceeing and influencing will create a passive income for me through my business. Does that make sense?
It does.
Did
And
I?
someone even put in the chat, I think they actually was speaking to me about merch, and that is something that I just started launching for my company. So yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Any other questions on this one? All right. We are moving on like the Jeffersons. Well, they move on up. We're going to move on up too. So developing that business state of mind, that's what we talked about before. Operating your business as an owner. 90% of us, probably more than 99% of us, we started out as employees. And as employees, we saw our manager, maybe even the manager's manager. And we could say day in, day out what they do and said, you know what? This is for the birds because I can do what they do and I can make money for myself without having to work here and punch this clock. But what we don't realize is that what that manager does is just a fraction of what the owner has to do. So when you start a business, you have to fill the shoes of the owner, not your previous supervisor. That means you have to determine the direction of your business. You have to determine the pricing. You have to build the relationships for your supply chain. You have to figure out your human resources. You have to manage the finances. Those are all the things that the owner has to do. And as you scale and grow, you hire people to fill those roles so that you yourself are not doing it. But that really is where you need to have some time set aside to do. As I said earlier, there's going to be a necessity at the beginning for you to do the functional work. You're going to be making the candles, but that should not be 100% of the time that you spend on your business. There should be at least 30 to 40% of that time in the early days where you're sitting there figuring out the overall plan for your business. Otherwise, you will end up building yourself a job. And that means you get up every day, you wait for someone to hire you or order something from you, you fulfill that order, then you wait for someone else to come and hire you and buy that service again. And if you are on vacation, your business stops. There's no one to do that function. That's not where you want to be as a business owner. That's where we start. That's not where we end. So that's really where that business model and that business owner mindset has to really set the foundation for your business. And that's why we talk about that in this early session, because we want you to start thinking and figuring out, where is this going to fit into my pitch? How do I express and communicate what my business model is and how it's going to make money? So we're going to give you an outline. Don't need to be afraid that you won't be able to figure out. We're going to give you an outline for the slide deck, but that outline has to be filled in by this type of information. Does anybody have questions? I'm going to I can't see the chat, so I'll keep asking, but Marisol, if you have people who have questions, just jump off mic and let me know.
Sounds good. I will. We're good right now.
Thank you. So, okay. We're going to talk again. This session is about that pitch deck. This is our 4th year doing it, and we keep improving and keep fine tuning it. But I will tell you that we really get excited during this early stage because the business owners are eager and they're jumping in. And then as we get closer and closer in, businesses are kind of just like, ah, I don't know what I'm going to do for this pitch. But we have a very specific outline that we're going to go through tonight that should answer all those questions, put your mind completely at ease about how the pitch goes. And we do hope that you will consider pitching because it is a very good exercise to do, even if you don't get the full price money. Just getting into that habit and building that muscle of really getting clear about your business and pitching that to investors is really good practice. So the purpose of this is to give you the elements of the pitch deck, a successful pitch deck. And what we tie success to is capital. Is someone going to hear that pitch deck and say, hey, I want to invest in that? Or are they going to say, we can loan this person some money and help them fill that gap that they have that they've identified in that pitch? Or maybe it's just a situation where they are able to get some publicity and take that pitch deck and turn it into some social media posts that get them some attention. All of that ties to capital. And that's really what we're in business for, is the moolah. So, first things first is time. You will have a very specific amount of time to deliver this pitch. And I am smiling because I don't think there's been a single year that we have gone over this and gone over this and gone over this. And we still have people who are 2 to 3 minutes over their time. It's not hard to do, but it's much easier to get into your time frame when you lay that pitch out the way we talk about in this outline. You do not want to get on here and start talking about how you were born the son of a poor sharecropper and you thought about this business for years and years, and now you finally have a chance and you talk to your mother, you talk to your father, you talk to your siblings. That's just time ticking off a clock. You want to make sure you bring that in very succinctly, very clearly, and really get down to the nuts and bolts, which is the money. So we're wanting you to make sure you keep an eye, and even during our labs, we're going to be hitting that hard each and every week. Stick to the time frame. I see 3Gen Construction raised a hand.
Hi, good evening. My name is
Hello.
Tito Hill, and I am the owner of 3Gen Construction Services. So my question tonight is, what if you go under the allotted time? Will that be a penalty against you?
It will not, but I will tell you this, if you fill the 7 slides the way we are going to go over tonight, it'll be very unlikely that you'll go significantly under the time frame.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Kim, we have a couple questions as well.
Okay.
So Carolina says, what is the suggested time for the pitch?
I think we give a maximum of 4 minutes. It's
Yes.
not a lot of time. And if you follow the format that we give you, we can really fine tune and hone it in on the important points that are going to be that are going to get the attention of the panel for the pitch. But it's not much more than 5 minutes, or 5 minutes. I don't even think it's 5 minutes if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's minimum is 3 minutes and maximum is 4. So that sweet spot there is probably gonna be like 3.5 so that you have a little bit of time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kim, there's another good question here. So Jess Kent says, I'm mindful that there's a difference of a presentation versus a pitch. Could you explain how they differ, please, for this program?
Sure, really the content is where it differs. When you're talking about a presentation, if you're presenting your business to someone, they are very, you have a little more latitude on how broad you can be in explaining what your business is, who your business is for. Uh, in other words, you might have 2 or 3 slides that talk about your target customer, how you determined your target customer, how many target customers you have, where you find your target customers. That could be 2 to 3, 4 slides in a presentation. When you're talking about a pitch, that's 1 slide. It's 1 slide that you're really gonna pack all of that information as close as you can and communicate it as well as you can for your pitch. Does that answer your question?
Jess, if you want to hop off of mute, you can answer that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. I'm wondering if we're going to be practicing and getting feedback together in the later classes.
Yes, you're going to be practicing in the labs. You're also going to have a practice pitch in pitch 7, or excuse me, session 7. And as Duncan mentioned, the finalists will actually have a one-on-one with Duncan to go specifically through the slides and be prepared for the final pitch on the last session.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Sure.
And there's a couple more questions. So Jessica Frederick is wondering who the panelists are for the pitch and if there will be time for the judges to ask questions at the end of the pitch as well. Let me know if you want
The
me to answer.
judges, if you want to take that question about the judges.
Okay, yeah. So yes, the judges last year we did not have time as far as I remember, Kim. But we will try to do that because I know based off of another workshop that we had at the last year, at the end of last year, they did really like having that time to ask those questions. So we're gonna try to, fit that all in. It's really about timing. But yes, we're hoping to be able to provide that as well to have questions from them. So definitely want to make sure that you can really that you know your pitch inside and out, basically, is what I would say, right, Kim?
Exactly, because the questions that they are asking are not necessarily tied directly to the outline of content that we have given you. In other words, they can ask you about how do you reach your target customers, which may or may not be on your slide of target customers. So you want to have the full suite of answers for anything that they might ask.
Mm-hmm. And then the other question was, who are the panelists?
And that is a combination of Passstone and Citizens Bank, and that's decided completely by Passstone.
Mm-hmm. One of them is going to be our executive director, but yeah, it is a mixture of our team and also citizens. So you're going to have some bankers on the line there. And I
Which
think
is important to know.
exactly. They're big on numbers, those guys. So obviously, but it looks like we have answered all of the questions so far. Thank you, Kim.
Sure. So the introduction, excuse me. You want to make sure when you give that introduction, it is fast. There's no need to go into the whole background of your story because as the panelists, they know how they'll have your pitch deck and they'll be able to contact you after if they need more than that. But what we're trying to get to is to get them to know who you are, where you're from, where your business is, and what kind of experience do you have for that business. If you are coming on and saying that I am coming on as a baker, my business is a bakery, and I've never done any sort of cooking before, then you're going to have to really sell that, if you will, in that first slide, in that introduction. For example, for my business, I may say, I'm Kimberly Mitchell. I live and work in Rochester, New York. And prior to starting my training company, I had 25 years in the training industry working at top 500 companies. That fast. That's really all you need. Anything more than that is taking away time from the real nuts and bolts, which, as Marisol said, you have bankers on the line. They're waiting for you to get to the money. So don't spend a lot of time on this. Make it nice and concise, but make sure it answers these questions. Who you are, what your business is, where your business is, and what kind of experience you have to be operating that type of business. Any questions? Okay, so we talk about attention. You want to make, when you say not just, or excuse me, when I say not just the pitch, but also the presentation. To me, this is where you want to lean in on some of your friends, associates, co-workers who are very good at graphic design or who know how to use Canva really well. You want to make sure that that presentation is eye-catching because there's going to be it's 4 minutes of content. So it's going to go pretty quickly. That's why you want to make sure you grab their attention for the right reasons, not because there's spelling errors or not because the pictures are sideways when they should be portrait. You want to make sure that that presentation is pleasing. And then that as you're talking to them, you are clear and confident about your business. Because the exciting part about this is it's your business. Everything on that slide is what you say it is. No one can say, well, you really aren't a baker because you're not doing this, that, and the other. Your business is a bakery because you say it's a bakery. Your business makes candles because you say it makes candles. So really make sure that the presentation and the information on that presentation on those slides is engaging, eye-catching, and accurate. Any questions on that? Moving on. This one is a big one, another big one. For small business owners, we typically will start the business based on what we know how to do, what we see others doing that we can jump in and do. And we don't always think of our business in terms of a solution. But every single business that exists today is a solution to a problem. Your pitch needs to clearly articulate what problem your business solves for your customers. Problems are not necessarily negative things. So for instance, who can tell me what problem is solved with a Hermes handbag, $10,000 handbag? Who can tell me what problem that solves?
I can.
You can?
Yeah, that doesn't
course.
solve a problem.
In my line of business, I would say that problem is solved by selling as many of those handbags as possible, making them visible to the targeted audience and a higher scale audience. And I would do that all from my platform. Of course, they would have to endorse me with a bag first. So I need that.
Well, but that's the how. That's the how. But what's the problem?
I can't
What is
afford it.
making them buy that handbag? Because when you buy that, that's exactly what they're doing. You're solving a problem with the
I
sale.
can, sorry, I don't know if I don't know how to raise my hand in this. I can answer the question though.
I'm listening.
Hi, my name is Deja. I own Deja Blue Skin Therapy. I am a skin therapist. And I believe that the problem is that women like to shop. That's the problem. They like the finer things when they shop, and when you become a certain status, you want to portray that status. You want people to know that status. So that's their ultimate problem. So they're solving that problem by providing a handbag that's not easily attainable and that is, of that status. So it gives them, the visibility of that status.
That's it. Status. You don't think of status as a problem. But that's really, you know, I always go back to Tiffany's. Tiffany's sells what looks like a soup can without a label for pens and pencils on your desk. And I promise you, it looks like a soup can without a label, except it's got one thin teal color line at the seam. And for those who know, they can see that and say, you paid $1,500 for that can. Someone who doesn't know might come in and think, well, that's just a Campbell soup can. You took the label off. But that status from that tiny little sliver is the problem that's being solved by that purchase. So when you think of your business, you have to think, what problem am I solving for my customer? What is it that they need that they're getting from the purchase of my product or service? That's what you want to communicate on this slide in your pitch. Excuse me. You have identified the pain point, the problem, the circumstance that your target customer is experiencing, that they said, you know what? I need something to fix this, and they found your business. You have to really be clear when you're talking about this. What made you decide that this was a problem first? And then what made you decide that you are able to solve that problem? Is that clear for everybody?
Yes.
Good.
Kara, you had
Yes.
your hand up? I'm sorry, Kim.
Sure.
Did you want to hop off mute?
I'm sorry. I was going to answer her question, but the beautiful queen who answered, who has a skincare line, she answered it eloquently. So that was it.
Thank you.
So I want to make sure everybody gets this in terms of when you're talking about the early slide of your business model. That probably is the very first thing you want to clarify. What is the problem that my business solves? Because there's all kinds of levers you can pull. To go back to the candle example, if it costs you $8 to make this candle, you could increase your price to $10 and make a profit. You could lower your costs down to $5 or $4 and make a profit on $5. You could sell a whole slew of candles with $1 margin and make a bunch of money. But you have to know the answers to these questions right in front of you before you can make any of those decisions. You really have to hone in and understand, like you think of it like something that you use, like a cell phone every day. Every day you see hundreds of thousands of people with a cell phone. So if you have a product tied to a cell phone, you already know that you have a market for it. You just don't know how big that market is, because it might be that somebody with an iPhone might not use it, but an Android might use it, or someone with a foldable phone might use it. Someone that doesn't have a foldable phone might not use it. That's when you start to narrow that down. But you first have to identify that this is something a lot of people will pay for. I use the shoe example. When I come home, I have it fixed now, but when I used to come home, I would kick those shoes off right at the door and be on my way. And then all of a sudden there's this giant pile of shoes at my front door that I now have to deal with. Now, if somebody said to me, I can arrange these shoes for you. I can come every Friday morning and arrange these shoes for you. I might say, okay, bet, come on over. If they said to me, I can come and arrange these shoes for you and it's going to cost you $150 every Friday, I'm probably going to say, thanks, but no thanks, because that problem is not big enough for me to spend $150 on it. But then let's say they said it'll only cost you $20. Okay, maybe I will. Come on over on Fridays, arrange these shoes. But there's probably not enough people like me who are willing to spend $20 for someone to come and arrange their shoes every Friday. So despite the fact that they can make some money off of that, it really isn't a good business model because the problem isn't big enough for a lot of people to pay for. Does that make sense? Am I off mic? I'm talking, I can hear myself.
We can hear you.
Is everybody good with that? Does that make sense to
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
Yes, that makes sense.
A
That's
lot, a lot.
Perfect, perfect. So now that we have our problem, we're going to be talking about, we talked about this a minute ago, how big it is. Is it a vitamin or a pain reliever? The vitamin is that thing that you know you should do. I know I should take my vitamins every day. I even put them in little pill cases that are labeled the day of the week. Sometimes I get them in my pocket. And sometimes I find them in my pocket 2 days later because I just don't always get around to taking that vitamin. But I ain't leaving home without my leave because these knees need a leave every day. So you want to be thinking about that when you have your business model. Is it something that is painful enough that people are going to spend the money on it? So now that you've identified that problem, let's talk about your solution. You have this format here is wonderful for bringing that to a concise sentence, a statement of how your business, your product or service solves that problem for your target customer. How do you know that it solves it? How did you determine that this was the solution? Because you could look around, and what I want to assure you of something is that for every problem, people are solving it. Every single thing that is a problem for people, someone is solving it for them. So when you enter that market, you are entering into a competitive space. So you want to know, how am I going to, one of two things? I'm either going to get them to stop using who they've been using and use me, or I'm going to have to get them to start using me because they've been doing nothing. Because doing nothing is also a form of competition. So you want to be able to clearly articulate and show on your slide and in your pitch how you've determined that your solution is unique and people will pay what you need to charge to make money off of that solution. Does everybody have a good idea of what that is?
Feel
I
free
will
to come
take-
off mute, put it in the chat.
Y'all quiet tonight. It's like, okay, let's get this. That's okay. We're gonna get into the meat and the potatoes.
I got this. I'm all set.
All right. So
Can you hear me?
some things, yes,
You can hear me?
yes.
Oh, okay, finally. I've been trying to ask some questions, but
Oh, okay.
okay, so I just heard what you said. I'm not open yet. I will be, well, my name is Ada Gonzalez. I'm the owner of Tasty Healthlicious LLC, located in Buffalo, New York. And I understand what you're saying because I came into this business where, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and it's going to sell. But no, I was wrong because I'm not open yet, but I do meet with people walking by my business, about 60 to 100 people asking me the same question. Are you going to have this? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? My answer to them is yes, because I see what the neighborhood wants. I see outsiders what they want. And it's basically all the same. I get asked the same questions. And you know what? I turned everything around. And now I have these things for these customers and whoever comes in. So I do understand what you're saying. You can't just sell something and say, okay, this is going to sell because everybody's going to want it. No, it's not true. Not everybody's going to want it. So now I
Yes.
have different things. I have a different menu and everything else. I'm not open yet, but I will be open
Well,
April 13th.
I will also say though, that you want to be careful. We're gonna talk about target customer
Mm-hmm.
down the line. But you want to be careful that you're not responding to people who are not your target customer.
Well,
What do I
most of
mean
these
by that?
people, most of the
Go ahead.
people are my target customers because they are from the neighborhood. And I know a whole bunch of people would say, well, be my customers too. And actually, I have to go by some of these customers because I see it for myself, like the disability and what they can eat and what they could eat and what they're asking for. And I didn't think of none of that when I was first setting everything up until people started speaking to me and speaking to me and speaking to me. And I'm like, okay, so now I have to change everything around. I have both. Like I could say I have the sweet for the sweet and the healthy for the healthy.
That's okay, but you also want to be careful because again, if you say 60 to 100 people passed by your store and ask questions, you cannot effectively, efficiently, and profitably offer 60 to 100 different combinations of things. So you
Actually, it's
again,
right. I understand that it's not. It's actually all the same. These people ask the same question and want the same thing. So it's not like 100 things that I got to do different.
okay,
Understand? So I have to think about them too, because in my neighborhood, there's a lot of people with diabetes. There's a lot of people in wheelchairs. I mean, the help over here is really, they ask for a lot, they ask almost basically the same thing, sugar-free, lactose-free, which I will be serving things like that. But like I said, I have the healthy for the healthy, and I also have the sweet for the sweet.
which is good. Make sure that your costs are
Yes,
carefully monitored for those variations.
I did.
'Cause you think
I
about
did.
Burger King, which we're gonna talk about in a minute, but Burger King offered the Impossible Burger for people who are like, I want a vegan option. I don't want to eat your meat.
Right.
But that was a situation of a different patty. The bun is the same, the pickles, the onions, the ketchup, the mustard, all of that's the same. So that was a relatively low cost variation for them. And they were able to charge more because it is a specialty item. So definitely want to make sure you keep those things in mind. But that's great that you're getting that direct feedback immediately before you even open your doors.
Right. I haven't opened yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
it
is
was a
good.
good thing because I had a mindset of something else. And so people started asking me questions and passing
let
by
me
and
ask
asking me questions.
Let me ask you this question. What were you going to do? And not necessarily specifically what were you going to do, but where did you get the idea for what you were going to do versus now what you're pivoting to?
Okay,
based
well,
on the feedback?
actually, I worked in an ice cream store before, selling ice cream and smoothies and shakes, just regular stuff, sweet stuff, nothing healthy, nothing was healthy there. And I was doing this in New York City because I come from New York City. And when I came here, worked all my life, work. I said, you know what? It's time for a change. I'm tired of working for somebody. I want my own business now. And thanks to Marisol, which I know she's online. I love that lady. She's beautiful, But I got everything together and I was more into doing healthy shakes. And I didn't want to do ice cream, so I went with soft yogurt ice cream.
Mhm.
But there's all different types of yogurt ice cream. So I chose the one that fits my budget, the one that got 8 benefits to the yoga, which kids, adults, everybody loves. I have tasted it myself. It's great, but it is healthy. It's better than ice cream. It's better than regular yogurt. I just can't wait to open. And it has a lot of benefits. And I have cards that explains the ingredients in the yogurt and everything else. So my customers can read it, see if they like it, if they don't like it. But like I said, I do have for the sweets and I do have the healthy, because I got to think of people that just want sweets, you know? They don't want
So
to eat healthy.
I would say to you, when you do your pitch, you're going to want to pack all of that into one slide, maybe, but find a way to articulate that so that it's really down to this right here. You're offering something exclusive and proprietary. This is
Right.
a sweet shop that offers healthy sweets. So you want to
Right.
make sure you emphasize that, but in a very condensed manner.
Right, it's small. I understand. I heard you
Mhm.
before when you were saying that we only have like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes, yes. Excuse me. And what I want to share with you all is that when you are talking about your business, this is not just to the investors, but also to your customers. You want to be talking about the benefits, not just the features. If you look at the difference, when you go home, YouTube the difference, or YouTube an iPhone commercial and an Android commercial. I love using Android, but their commercials leave a lot to be desired because they focus on the features. And if you are a tech geek, that might be meaningful to you, but their target customer is not just tech geeks. So when you talk about an AMOLED screen and the number of megapixels of the camera and the processor, that's great. When you look at iPhone says, here's how you're going to use this phone in your life. Here's how you're going to solve problems with it. When I'm packing my bag and I want to know what the weather is, and I say, Siri, tell me what the weather is in San Diego. I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock tonight, and it's doing it. When I say, hey, move my appointment from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock with this person on my calendar, that's where it's showing you what the benefits are.
Right.
I highly recommend that you spend some time studying commercials. Commercials tell you everything you need to know about marketing and packaging your business model. They tell you who the target customer is based on who's in the commercial. They tell you what the benefits are. When you listen to how they talk about the product, it's all about the benefits. They tell you what that problem is when they start by telling you what the problem is, and then they talk about the benefits that solve that problem. So I want you to really start thinking of your business in that same language. Very, very easy to do. If you listen to the commercials, these are the professionals. They've been studying marketing for years. It works. And this is really how you want to be thinking about your business.
Right.
Does anybody have
Thank you.
questions on that? Okay, so we talk about target customer. Critical. Why is that critical? Because you're going to have people ask you about things, recommend things. People come and spend money in your business, but they may not be your target customer. Your target customer is that ideal customer. That target customer has all of the characteristics of someone who needs your product or service, and they have the money to pay for it, and they will pay for it when you put that price tag on it. That's a target customer. I like to use Cadillac. I see a Cadillac commercial. I see a very well-heeled couple getting dressed, coming out of that very expensive home, sliding behind the wheel of that Cadillac, driving down that winding road to that very expensive restaurant, and handing over their keys to the valet and walking in with that air of confidence, like I have pulled up in this fancy Cadillac. But then when I look out my window, that's not exactly who I see behind the wheel of a Cadillac. So that target customer, a Cadillac, has decided that that couple is their target customer. All the marketing will be towards them. All the feedback that they listen to will be from them. All of the modifications and things that they do to that car will be to appeal to them. But that doesn't mean other people can't buy it. They can and they do and they will. But all of my efforts, if I'm Cadillac, is going to be to this person, this couple. So I want you to think about your business, your product, your service. Who is that target customer? And what makes them a target customer? Who's that person that will pay for those Viva paper towels, regardless of what price? They don't even look at the price. They say, just give me Viva paper towels. Who is that customer and for you? And what makes them that loyal to you? What makes them your target customer? Does anyone know who their target customer is and why?
I
That would they
just,
want to share with us?
I kind of just went through a big change of noticing who my target customer was. My name is
Mhm.
Solar. They call me the community's daughter, and I do a lot of hosting. And for many years, as a youth advocate, I would focus on the youth. And I noticed that they weren't a target customer. They were more so of where I could help them, I could guide them. But when I was exposed to the 35 plus crowd for the Funk Fest, where now I host the Funk Fest. I do Friday Night Live, involved in the community engagement. I'm finding out that I have a target base that supports not only what I do, have hired me for their events and birthdays and retirement, but it's pretty much that 35 and older generation, and mostly women with a small percentage of men. And then I also looked at who follows me online, and it's not the young folks. So therefore, I know they're not buying tickets to the concerts that I host or tickets to the events that I host. So I really just had to go through that whole mind awakening change.
Mhm. Well, I can tell you, you sound like you may have a situation that a lot of small businesses have where they have customers and users. The easiest example I can use it for that is children's products. If someone sells some children's products, their user are the children, but their customer is the parent because the parents are the ones paying for it. So think about that when you try to separate who my customers are from my users. Now, I also want to say, and we're going to talk about this in one of the later sessions, is that target customer needs to go pretty deep because you can have over 30 women over 30 that are your customers, but that's a big, broad group. So you're going to want to narrow that down even more to find out where that sweet spot is with those women over 30 that makes them hire you. Does everybody get that? Questions on that?
I think Janet,
Yeah.
do you want to add to?
Oh, yeah. Hi. I definitely know who my target market is. My ideal target market are women between 25 and 55. They make over $100,000 a year. They care about the environment. They care about where their money goes. They want to make an impact and a difference. They value unique and meaningful items. They value what a handmade item means. They would like to make things by hand like that, but they don't have time. So they pay me to do it instead.
Right? That is perfect. That is a combination of your demographic information as well as your psychographic information. So sounds like you have a nice big swath of people who could be with that age group anyway, who could fit that profile.
And also, people buying gifts for people in that target market are also my target market, but they're like adjacent. Like, so like,
Right.
you know,
So
they're
that goes,
the target market and the users, but there are also, you know, target markets who will buy things for them.
well, again, though, remember your product or service can be purchased by anybody, but that target customer, even if it's people who are buying for that target customer, that does not necessarily make that group a target customer. It's your people. Like if you look up Liz Claiborne, they have called their target customer the Liz Lady. And they are very, very finely tuned to who that woman is, to the point where they go out and they can say, yep, that's a Liz Lady right there. You want to get to that same level with your target customer. And one of the ways is by really breaking it down into the smallest bite you can think of. So I'm going to use this example for Burger King. So Burger King started out with a target customer this big. We want people who are hungry, but they don't want to cook. Then they said, that's a really big market. Let's narrow that down to people who want fast food. So now your fast food audience is maybe Pizza Hut, maybe Subway, McDonald's, Domino's. You got a whole bunch of people in that fast food block. So then they said, let's narrow down even more. People who want a fast food burger. Now we're really down into the weeds. Now we're talking Sonic. Now we're talking Dairy Queen, McDonald's, Wendy's, but that's a very, very much smaller than we started out with. So they said, let's get it down even further. So who knows what that last square is for Burger King when they said, let's squeeze it down even further? Any guesses on what they use to get it down to one more level?
Those who are willing to pay.
Well, they did that at the beginning. So you want to, that first block needs to include people who want to pay.
Those who
Would
want
it be time?
it broiled on a grill.
Say again?
Those who want it broiled on the grill.
You got it.
I was gonna say.
You got it. People who want flame broiled fast food burger. And all the commercials show them flames coming up out of that grill. All of your Whoppers and Junior Whoppers have those lines on it. And they make sure you know that's our specialty. That's our unique value proposition. We flame broil the burgers. Whether they do or not, I don't know. But that's what their marketing is. You want to do the same thing for your customers. You're going to start out, and I would recommend the ability to pay being in that big square. You want to make sure that's part of it at the beginning. And then start squeezing it down to who are those people who truly need what it is that I have to offer. Because when you do that, when you think of this big square and you're out here just pounding the pavement trying to get all of these people or any of these people in that big square to turn around and pay you for your product or service, that's a lot of effort. When you get down to the smaller square, that's where your tribe is. That's where your people are. And you won't need to work as hard to tell them to say, hey, I'm here. I have the product or service that solves your problem, and this is the price, and they will pay you, period. It is vitally important that you get really clear on who that target customer is, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get people to pay you for things that they're not your target customer. When some people tell you your price is too high, that is one of two situations. Either you have not communicated the value that they need to hear to pay you for that, to pay that price, or they're not your target customer. You don't want to be adjusting your product or service, adjusting your prices for people who are not your target customer. I see a hand raised.
Hi, I have a question. Since some of the participants in this class is starting their business, and is this a safe place for us to not steal ideals, concepts? Because I hate for us. Well, I'm just speaking for myself. I hate to, be transparent and then someone takes my ideal. So has that been established that we will encourage the buildup of the original why for us participating and no ideal stealing?
Yeah, we haven't, I will say this, in the 3 years that I've been doing this, we've never had that situation happen. Where someone has taken an idea and ran off with it on their own. And I would also say this to you, that there, to use the Burger King example, if there was a new burger joint that was coming out and saying, we're going to start putting, I don't know, jelly on our burgers. But that's a secret. We don't want to tell everybody, because then everybody will start using jelly on their burgers. Yours will still be unique. You still have room to make yours unique. If you think about my probably favorite is washing powder or a clothes detergent. There was a moment in time when only one product had the Oxy clean stuff in it. And then it seems like within weeks, they all have that added to it. But that doesn't mean that people who are Tide loyalists are going to now switch over to Gaines because they now have that ingredient. So I just want to say to you that I don't believe anyone here does that, will take an idea and steal it. But I will say to you that even if you find someone doing the exact same thing you were thinking of, you still have an opportunity to make that business successful and carve out your own target customers for it and still be very, very popular or profitable with it. Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, can I just add something as well?
Sure.
I think especially like as women entrepreneurs, there's a well, actually, just I feel like in our community as a whole, let me say, there's a lot of gatekeeping that happens surrounding the journey that it takes to become a business owner. And some of it, not all of it, but some of it is based in the sphere that someone's going to steal your idea, right? And they're gonna and exactly what you were describing, Keto. So what I would just suggest to everyone, we've always, like Kim said, we've always had a really great, a bunch of ladies that join us every year. Everyone's really, really great to each other, and it's been really a supportive environment. But I would just like for all of us to kind of, if that's what we're feeling, just sit with that feeling and sit with why we feel that way, because gatekeeping doesn't allow us to collaborate and all of that stuff, right? To build ourselves up as a community. So, just I think transparency and collaboration and all of that really is what creates a good business owner and establishes these relationships that are super, super important in this journey, So sorry, I just wanted to add that, Kim.
Thank you. Because I also will add, it's two true instances of people who missed out on an opportunity to grow their business because they were afraid of pitching to, and this was a pitching situation, these were pitching situations, but they were afraid of pitching to these investors with the idea that those investors would then just steal the idea and never do business with them. And so they missed out on that opportunities. And that's a choice that they made, that they may be happy with that decision. But I would say to you again, there is money out here for all businesses, even businesses who do the exact same thing. So please use that information as you will. I saw two other hands raised.
I think it was Tawana first and then Ashley.
Hi, my name is Tawana Johnson. I'm the owner of It All Makes Sense Candles. So thank you for using candles as an example. I was like cheering silently. So I have a business. I'm located in downtown Buffalo. Um, this whole target market and user piece is extremely informative for me because I started out just doing candles. And you are absolutely right. You do have to know the price that it takes to make the candle, opposed to what you're gonna sell it for, opposed to what the competitors are selling it for. So that I was in the background like, yes, that's so right. Um, so I decided to add a service to my business. So I have a candle making service, which has where I allow customers to come in to create their own candle. And that has superseded the candles. So now the candle part of it is it's like a secondary part of the business. So my main part of the business is the candle workshop. I'm going into my third year of business and I've hit points where I'm kind of like a ceiling. And that's because I don't have my target market, because I was saying things like, well, everybody come, I do it with children. I may do a bachelor party, I may do this, I may do that. But then you explained it, and it's very anybody that's on here who haven't started their business, this information you are going to need. You need to know who your target market is. And I was one of those people like, well, everybody is my market. But now I'm seeing that that may work. It may work for a few months. It may work, but you're not going to be able to scale thinking that you're for everybody, because you're not. And so now I'm at the point where I'm trying to zone in on who is my village. You are giving out information like this information, and people won't understand until they're in business and doing it. And for the ladies, hi ladies, for the ladies that's on here that have a business and has been in business, this is phenomenal information, because this is exactly, if I don't get nothing else, this is like seeds that I needed. And so it's even the way you describe it like a commercial. So now it's making me think about the ladies, because I know that my target market is definitely women. I have to go into, the good thing for me is I take a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. So I have that to look at, and I can see exactly who these people are. And then I have women that they'll come with their friend group to make a candle, then they'll bring their family, then they'll bring their work girlfriends. So I have people that has come 3 and 4 times. And you're right, they do not care about the cost, because when I first started out, I was at one price because I was just starting out. And then a year into doing it, of course, products went up. I raised the price again. Now I'm at a higher price point where I feel like I'll stay. But those women, they have followed me from one space to another. So this is good information, and thank you. So yeah, this whole target market is very, very, very vital if you
Well,
your business
thank you
to
so
grow.
much. Thank you for sharing that. That is
No
wonderful.
problem.
And I would say to you is you can start by looking more at the problem that you saw. Now you have the benefit of having customers. So when you look at the customers, those customers who have followed you, you can look and say, what's the common theme here? What are some of the common things that these women share? And when you ask them, which sounds like they will be more than happy to share feedback with you, ask them why it is they come to you and why it is they continue over and over to come to you. That will give you some idea of the problem that you're solving for them and how you can find more women like that to be your tribe.
Kim, we also had Ashley with her hand raised, and Kiana afterward.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, not Kiana. I'm so sorry. That was Crystal.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say really quick, echoing those comments about the competition, and us not being in competition with each other, and really emphasizing that as we become this family here in this program, right? That it's enough to go around. It's almost 300,000 people in Buffalo and billions of people in the world. So it's no need for us to be in competition, because we all have our own different niches, right? And somebody that may be for you may not be for somebody else, and somebody that may be for somebody else may not be for you. And what's meant for you is for you. Nobody can take that away. So I think we should just collaborate and share as much as possible so we can help each other grow. Because I think that's a part of the problem is we don't come together as a community to really help push each other forward. And we're going to go further if we go together, right?
Yep.
And a comment I just wanted to make about the target customers, I guess a step up that I just recently learned that I'm trying to apply now in my marketing strategy, because I suck at marketing bad, but really building buyer personas, like taking that another level to where you're taking these people and actually turning that into a person. Like, to say, for example, for my brand, one of my buyer personas may be Frank. Frank is 35 years old. Frank has a beard, and Frank is really into his skincare routine. So now when I'm marketing to try to speak, how do I speak to Frank? Because when you're just blasting out this random big message, it's like you're missing your target markets, and sometimes you can't capture it all in one message. So you have to focus one message to one specific persona, so to speak. And I just learned that, and I'm trying to apply it, but I wanted to share because I just recently
Nice, thank you. We're actually going to be doing a little bit more with buyer persona in the later session. So you'll have a worksheet. If you don't have one already, I will make sure to provide one. But yes, that is critically important.
I just wanted to say amen to what Ashley said. She just said like everything that I was thinking. And it was just right on point. As far as like my ideal customers, for me, I'm an old people's baby. So I know how to cook like the liver with the gravy and the rice. And I cater, and since I do food, I cater to the young. I have young adult children and also cater to the older. So for me, when I get a compliment from an older woman, down south woman, and she loves my greens, that's a compliment to me, because they will quick to tell you that no, you cannot cook. It is not good. This is not it. So I stay up with the new things like the faux bowls, the different foods and stuff that come out. Because I try them, I eat them, and plus I have young adult children. So my daughters, they cook as well. It's a family business. Bobby's Kitchen. That was my mother. She passed away 4 years ago. I'm going and I would mess up if this was my presentation, because I would definitely went over. But my daughters keep me up on the food, as far as like the younger general, like the snack packs and the things that grab their attention. And okay, they want the mozzarella sticks, the wings and the fries, and they want, like a burger in it. That's a snack pack. That draws them. They like that. That's good. I'm also make it called, affordable. The pricing as well for me and them. So I do profit from it. Then I reach to the older, like cooking the liver and the onions, doing the greens and the cornbread, and doing like the homemade peach cobblers and everything like that. So I touch on everyone, even with the kids, with things with them. So I try to keep up on that to see what's the new fad, unfortunately, with food today. Like what's popular, what do they like? And so you can cater to everyone, healthy and unhealthy, So I guess my ideal customer is everyone, really. I try to, from the young to the old, 8 and 80, 8 to 80.
Your ideal customer is never going to be everyone.
Okay.
And again, even if you have users,
okay,
AKA people who eat the food who are 8 to 80, that doesn't mean your target customer is that whole broad span of people.
Okay.
I would say when you think about your unique, this is another term that you're going to hear, your unique value proposition. What is it about your catering that is special, that is unique to you? It could be something as simple as your packaging. You have special little boxes that you have on here, and you write the person's name, like Starbucks writes the name on the cup.
Yeah.
You deliver that. That might be your unique value proposition. The food is just food they can get anywhere else, but they feel special because it's got a box with their name on it.
The containers. Okay.
You have a lot of different ways you can distinguish yourself in the marketplace, but you have to know what the problem is. What problem does catering solve? And then say, who is it that has that problem? Eating is not the problem. because we can eat anywhere. Even if you're talking home cooked food, I can eat home cooked food anywhere. And I've got the most immature palate you're ever gonna find on this planet. So if you're
Okay.
talking about specific foods, I, I can eat a burger. You know, I'm a burger and fry and be all right. I don't need liver with gravy and onions with mashed potatoes that are cooked just right. So I wouldn't be your target customer. So you
Okay.
want to be thinking about what is it you provide that is special for this subset of people. And that's where you're going to find out where your target customer lies. You have customers, and I will tell you, and I will say this to all of you, do not make price one of your differentiators, because that's what we talked about earlier. They call that a race to the bottom, where you made your meals $5.99 and under, and then somebody comes in and says, I'll make mine $4.95 and under, and then you're now at $4.80 and under, and soon you're just losing and bleeding money for the same effort. What you want to do is make your value clear to say, if this person over here is selling their meals for $5, mine is $7, but here's why. It's $7 because I know that you, ideal customer, I am saving you time by cooking your meal so that you can get to spend more time with your family. Or I am making you look good in front of your friends that you have all these people over here and you're having your dinner party, but you can't cook. That would be me.
Yeah.
You can't cook. So you're making me look good and taking that off my hands by cooking for me, and you deliver it and you set it up or whatever you do for me. But that's where I'm saying, once you figure out who that target customer is, you're able to figure out what's important to them, because some of the things that you're offering may not be important to your target customer. To the point where you can eliminate those things that are costing you money to deliver and add things that may not be any extra for you, but you can charge a higher price because your target customer will pay it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
That was a
does.
lot.
It does. It made a lot of sense. And I do some of what you said I do with my containers. I like to get the ones they can put in the freezer to save their food, like things like that. Put their name on it, little labels and stuff, but this is going to help me grow even more. So I do understand what you're saying now. Yes, I appreciate that.
Good, good. There's
I hope
so many
everyone
ways.
realizes. Sorry. I hope everyone realizes like just how amazing Kim is, because these things are, we would think that they're common sense, but they absolutely are not, right? And we need to be reminded and taught that you need to go deeper and further in this. Kim, just going back off of what you mentioned, right? Because you just said a whole sermon. You said make sure that price isn't what differentiates you from other people, right? I know a lot of people, just based off of working with the community at Pathstone, they do that, right? They're like, I'm going to be the cheapest one on the block. Everyone's going to come to me, but that's not the way to do it. So, someone mentioned, how do you balance risking being too low, but also trying to cater to people with tight budgets / low income?
I can tell you, you first need to identify if those people with low income are your target customer. I will give you this example just that we're on right now. I love to work with small businesses, but a lot of small businesses can't pay me. So I make relationships with organizations like Pathstone. Pathstone takes care of paying me so that I can service that small business community that I like to work with. So do you have an opportunity, if those people are your target customer, do you have an opportunity for them to be your user, but there's an intermediary that is actually your customer, and that intermediary pays you while you service your user? Is that an opportunity for you?
No.
Is that, oh,
No.
So Ada, I think it was Ada, she said no, because hers is the storefront, right? Tasty Healthlicious. So she says that she would not have access to an intermediary. And the person that asked the question was Courtney. Do you have access to an intermediary? You can come off of mute if you like. Oh, yep, you can. Yep, Courtney, go ahead and explain it. You're muted just in case you're trying to talk. You can also put it in the chat. So I guess, Kim, what would you suggest then if there are, it won't let her unmute. Okay, go ahead and put it in the chat, okay? But also then, Kim, if there's like a way where someone can't access an intermediary, right? What would you recommend? Or maybe there is someone that does exist, but we aren't thinking about it in that way.
Well, then you have to really think about what product or service, what your product or service is that makes that low income person your target customer. Because then you're going to be looking at making sure your costs are as low as possible. If you're offering a product or service that people, your target customer will struggle to pay you for, then you might want to not make that your business model, because you're always going to be trying to make it attractive to people who are not able to pay you. That should be one of the very first characteristics of your target customer. They can pay you, because you may have a situation where they need it, but the fact that they can't pay you takes them out of the running for being your target customer. If this is a situation where they can possibly come up with the money to pay you, you're going to need to have something that has extremely low cost for you and something that you are constantly pumping out to masses, because then you're going to have to make that money on volume. You won't be able to make it on margin. And when I say margin, that's the difference between what it costs you to make it and what your customer pays you when they buy it. That difference is called your margin. So if your margin is very, very, very small on each of the things you sell, you're going to have to sell a whole lot of them. So you're going to have to really be careful to keep your costs low and and market it so that you are hitting as many people as you possibly can and make that money on volume. Does that make sense?
Yes. May I ask a question? If I'm hearing you right, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so earlier when I was saying learning the difference between what would be my buyer versus the person versus my customer. So hosting would actually be my service. So the promoter can pay me to be the host or the MC for the night. Yet my merchandise becomes where my customer base comes from. The people who come to the event that might want to take home something that reminds them of the energy that they got when I was on stage. Is that kind of like how I can look at it?
If I'm understanding your product or your service correctly, then your customer would be that promoter. And what you want to be able to do is your needs, you're figuring out what the problem you're solving for that promoter. Is it getting people in the door? Is it entertaining them so much when they go there that every time that promoter puts something out, they say, I'm going to go because I went to see this last event and it was a great time. So
that part.
If I'm understanding your business model correctly, then the person who's paying you is your promoter. And that's the audience that you want to expand, other promoters, and how you solve the problem for promoters. Your merchandise would essentially be somewhat like passive income. That's attached to that, but that's not, you don't have necessarily a target customer for your merchandise, because they're going to buy that online or at a show. However you sell that, it's totally different. Your customer is that person that's going to pay you to do that event.
Okay. Thank you.
That makes sense?
A lot more. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we got no more questions on that,
We have one more person, Jana. She wanted to add something.
okay.
Yeah, I had an idea for people who want to be able to serve lower income or people who can't afford the products that they're making, but they want to be able to serve that market in some way. You can do a lot of kind of partnership type things, like, everybody knows about Tom's shoes, right? Like every pair that you buy, they donate a pair of shoes to people who need shoes. So you could potentially raise the price of your products by building in, for every one of these that you buy, we provide one to someone who can't afford it or something like that. And for Ada, I believe it's your name, who has the yogurt company, you might be able to have like a fund in your shop for people who can afford to buy more than one yogurt. They can throw money in a pot and you can keep, marks on the wall and say, we have 10 free yogurts today for people who can't afford one. And that might be a kind of cool way to bring in the community in so that people can chip in together and enjoy yogurt together for people who can't always afford it.
All right.
Gotta
Yes.
get creative about it. It's fun.
Yes.
That's my favorite
And
part
you-
about business, is doing stuff like that.
Exactly. And you would also, though, be clear to that point, your target customer now changes. Your target customer changes to the person who's paying the higher price for that shoe so that the lower income person can get the free one, or the higher price for the yogurt so the lower income person can get the free one. Remember, your target customer is about who your business model is structured around, what marketing you're going to be doing to them, what problem you're solving for them. So lots of people, almost anybody can buy any product or service, but that target customer, that ideal customer, the one most likely to buy, is the one you build your business model around. So when we talk about that business model, part of that is lead generation. Someone else raise a hand? Let's see your level.
Yes, I did. Hi, my name is Donita. So this is really good. I was just thinking about, so I have Millie's house and I provide housing for homeless women. And so when I first started out my transitional housing program, I thought it was going to be catering to women that had substance use problems. But I had came to learn that a lot of my beds stayed empty because a lot of women they went to treatment centers or different type of other programs. So I changed my motto to I call Millie House a shelter from the storm. Now and I have to go back to what's the felt need of my target, the people that I'm targeting. What is the need in the community? So now I just house women that have some different backgrounds, whether it's domestic violence, substance use, or the way that the housing market is now is crazy. So a lot of women can't afford to get their apartment. So now I'm shifting my mind, my target market, to change it into a shared community space living program for women, because I have a diverse of women that's living in my program. And so now I'm getting calls for single women with children. And I just opened up my second home for single women, but now I'm looking into getting units so I can house single women, homeless women with children. And so it's a database that I use, and I look at different other models in different cities to see what they're doing and see how I could tweak my model, or maybe add something a little more that the other agency is not adding. And I also know sometimes, because I'm also in retail, and when I used to have my store on Genesee and Moselle, I had to look at the zip codes and the income that was coming in that community. And for most of the part, I had a lot of women coming in there I know I could sell something real quick for $20 on Genesee and Moselle. So I had merchandise that I could sell 2 for $20 or something like that. But then I also had people that was coming from City Hall, Erie County Medical Center, and the Buffalo school departments, to where I know that they will purchase my $79.99 items. So again, I have to look at what's the felt need. How can I be the solution to whatever the issue is currently, the problem is, and how can I solve it? So this is really helpful, because now I want to take my brand and make it real loyal to the people that I am serving and take it up a notch. And so now I just applied for some contracts for the Department of Social Services and some other things. And so this is just really good to help me, structure my business. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Good, thank you. How do you get paid?
So for right now, the women that I am services, they either get SSI or SSD, or I have a lot of ladies that in retirement and they get their pension. But I do come across a few ladies that have no income. So I just got my 501c3, and with the connection from downtown Department of Social Services, they will be paying for some of the beds so I can house more women that maybe don't have any income. And a lot of referrals. I get a lot of referrals from Cornerstone or other treatment centers out of the state.
So then I would recommend that you sit down and have a conversation with them, the people who are referring the people to you, as well as the social services that are paying for the people, to find out what that need is, because those referral agencies and the social services are your customers. Your women are your users, because they're being paid and subsidized. So you want to offer the services, but your business model needs to be about how you can service your customers for the cost that allows you to be profitable enough to sustain the business, sustain your lifestyle, because that's another part of that business, is the amount of money you need to sustain your own lifestyle, and then scale that business so that you're not the one that's in there working it all the time.
Yes, thank you. And I also wanted to add, Nike is not concerned about Adidas, Reeboks, Pumas, Avis, none, New Balance, none of that.
Not at all. So thank you for sharing that. I also we're now going to be talking about leads for your business. This is probably one of the least considered things that small businesses think about when they start a business. It is really, being profitable in a business is basic math. It is plus, minus, times, division, very basic math. And this lead generation piece is about as basic as it comes. Meaning, the more people that you have in that pipeline, the more money you're going to be able to make just by the conversion of sales. You have, and we're going to have, when we talk about lead generation in another session, we're going to actually show the funnel. But what you have in that funnel is, I start out with 1,000 people that saw my ad, that saw my post on Facebook, that saw my Instagram post, that picked up a flyer. 1,000 people know who I am right now. As they move through that funnel and they reach out to me and they learn more about what my business does, they learn about the services or products that I offer, they learn about the pricing, that's going to go down and down and down to, you're down to maybe about 200 people who are still in the running to actually make a sale or purchase from you. Then when you get into that, now you're having that sales conversation, those final details about trying to figure out, is this a fit? Are you my target customer? Am I solving the right problem for you? And out of those 1,000 people, you might get down to 75 sales. So the more you keep in that top funnel, the more leads you keep in your pipeline, the more money you're going to make. And when you think about what that process is to go from the top of that funnel down to the bottom where the sale is, you have to, as the owner, this is some of that owner work we talk about, you have to know how to keep at least 1,000 people in the top. You have to think about how much time does it take to move them from the top to the bottom. You have to think about what are those touch points between the top and the bottom that those customers are examining before they decide to make a decision to buy from you. And then how do I take those 75 people that came out of the bottom, turn them into evangelists that will go out and tell a bunch of other people, so that my funnel now is 2,000 people at the top. And now that's 150 people at the bottom. Does that make sense? Because lead generation is vital. Lead generation in its simplest terms is figuring out how to consistently speak to that target customer to where they are always pinging you to know where you are, what you're doing. And I might come through your funnel 4 times before I decide to actually buy. I might see a blog post, I might see a Facebook post, I might see a commercial on television, and I'll call you up and I'll say, tell me about what you got. And you'll tell me about it, and I'll think about it, and I'll put it on a piece of paper that says, call them on Friday, and I'll forget about that piece of paper. And then something's gonna come up where I see your name again, and I'm gonna call you. Oh, that's right. I was supposed to call them on Friday, and that was 5 months ago. I'm gonna call them now, and I call you now, and I talk to you again, and you tell me the same old things you told me before, and I say, I think I'm ready. I just need to wait for my check to clear on Thursday. That check clears on Thursday, something else comes up, I don't get to buy, and then something happens again, and I see your name, and I call you a third time. And the third time you sell me, and I say, I'm ready. I got it. Here's my card, charge it, done. 3 times through that loop. But you as the business owner need to make sure that I have that customer journey, that experience that I'm looking for to go from the top of that funnel to the bottom to where I make that sale each and every time. But you're going to, as you can guess, 1,000 people that you're going to be nurturing through that funnel, you're going to have some automation in there. Because you as a small business, you simply cannot hold the hand of 1,000 people to get them through there with only 75 actually buying. You will never be able to service those 75 if you constantly have to hold the hand of 1,000. So lead generation is important because it's basic numbers. The more people you start with, the more people you're going to end with. I didn't change that yet. Does anybody have questions on lead generation? That is a process. Those are touch points that you set up so that people see you, your target customer sees you, and they reach out to you to go start going through that funnel. So does anyone have questions on lead generation? Okay. I will tell you that lead generation really, it ties directly to your sales plan. Your sales plan ties directly to your forecast. If you don't have your lead generation processes in place, you will never be able to create a reliable sales plan. And if you don't have a sales plan, there's absolutely no way you're going to make an accurate forecast. So keep that in mind. Okay, competitors. We've talked about this already on this call. Your competition is everywhere. But how you handle that competition is up to you. You need to know who your competitors are. And I would say to you that when we talk small business, I've worked with many a small business, and I'll use the candle example. And they say, my competitor is Walmart. Well, no, because if someone is looking for custom scents, custom created candles, they're not gonna go to Walmart. If you're buying wholesale candles that you're now putting your own label on, that is nothing special or unique about it, other than the fact that you put a different label on it, then your Walmart might be your competitor. But when you are thinking about who is doing exactly what you do for your exact target customer, that would be a competitor. So in that situation, you might say someone from Etsy might be a competitor, because on Etsy, I can tell them I want a rose-colored candle or rose-scented candle with soy wax, and I want it in a tin can, and you can get that on Etsy. So you have to really think about very clearly, who is my direct competitor, and focus on that specifically for this pitch. You're going to want to know how they solve the problem for their customer, for your customer, because they have the same customer you do. You're going to want to know what the differences are. You think of Tops and Wegmans, two grocery stores, direct competitors. What are the people who are going to Wegmans? What are they getting from Wegmans that they can't get from Tops? And when you talk about price, some people will go and like, I'll pay whatever I have to pay just to get to Wegmans. And some people are saying, I ain't paying the Wegmans price. I get the same thing over here at Tops.
You got anything right now?
Say again? So yeah, you want to make sure you know who your direct competitor is, what they're offering that you're not offering, what you're offering that they're not offering, and how you're better. That's what they're going to be looking for on this slide, but that's something you're going to want to know just in general practice for your business. You don't want to be out here telling you, I can't tell you the number of people who I've worked with. They say, well, I'm better than all my competitors because I do this particular thing with my business. Well, who are your competitors? Well, I'm not sure. Well, if you're not sure who your competitors are, then how do you know that what you're doing is better than what they're doing? Because you might be doing something that, one, your customer doesn't care about, but two, at a level that is not what your target customers or your competitors are doing. Very, very important. It's not hard to find out who your competitors are, especially if you already have customers, because those customers either are coming to you from a competitor or they're still at a competitor's, still doing business with your competitor. And that's a simple ask. But you really want to make sure that you are clear what's your difference when you're talking about your competitors. You have questions on that? Okay. Sounds like all y'all are ready for the money slide.
Oh.
This is it. This is where the money lives. So on this one, this is specific to this pitch. You are really going to want to make it clear. These are bankers. They work with numbers every day, and they can spot when someone hasn't got a good handle on what their numbers are. So you're going to want to make it clear. This is what I need the money for, and this is what I'm going to do with it. This is how much I need, and this is what I'm going to do with it. I would say from my experience in working with these She Means Business cohorts, that's always a struggle for the business owner because the need is so great. And when you're thinking, well, it's $5,000, but I need $30,000 for what I want to do. It's okay that you need $30,000. And it's okay to show that you need $30,000. But what you also have to show is that $5,000 is going to move you. And then what you're going to use that $5,000 for. For instance, I can go say to a bakery. I have a cupcake business and I say for $30,000, I can hire a second baker. I can hire a marketing firm. I can buy some new containers or cupcake frilly things that people are really liking on Instagram. And I can make a little bit bigger cupcake in my on my specials, on my Friday specials, and then have a big promotion. I can do like a cupcake decorating class promotion once a month. And all of that is going to take $30,000. So for 5,000, I'm going to be able to do a promotion, hire this person on Fiverr that's going to create a bunch of stuff for me that I'll be able to use to hire promote that cupcake thing, make some money, hire then somebody part-time to do some of the things for the big cupcakes on the Friday, and still make money. So you see, they want to see, even if your need is greater than the 5,000, they want to see how you're going to take that 5,000 and improve what you're doing, as opposed to put it in your pocket and wait until you get the other $25,000 to do what you want to do. So this number slide is going to be very important to the people who are funding this pitch. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
No? Good. So when you are thinking about your need, it might help you to, instead of thinking of your entire business, think of one objective that you want for your business, one thing that you want to do. Maybe that 5,000 will buy you some printers so that you can do different labels on whatever it is your product or service is for. Just really make it so that it's very clear that this is going to make a difference in your business and not just be a penny in a bucket, and you still won't be able to get what you need done until you get additional funding. Everybody cool with that?
Yes.
Good. So to sum it all up, this is what your pitch is going to look like. Excuse me. It's essentially going to be 7 slides. Now, we've seen them obviously more than 7 slides, but I would say no more than 10 or 11 slides, where you might need to have some images that take up space that you can push the text. But this is the outline, and we're going to make sure you have this, because you're going to be judged on how well you stay in line with this outline. You want to be clear with your introduction, state that problem and make that problem sound like a problem. What I mean by that is, if I ask somebody, what's your problem, what problem you're solving, and they say, well, people like to come to my place because I sell great cupcakes. That doesn't sound like a problem to me. So you want to make sure your problem sounds like a problem. And then your solution is clearly tied to that problem. Then you want to talk about that target customer, who they are, why they have that problem, how your product or service is a solution to that problem, how you're going to keep that funnel full of target customers, that top lead generation funnel, and then how you're managing your competitors. You have all of that information, you have all that data, you're set all up. And how do you know that somebody's not going to swoop in and take all those target customers because you haven't done the homework to find out what your unique value proposition is as compared to your competitors? Lastly, what's the money going to be used for? How is this prize going to help your business move further than where it is today? That's it. It's easy, right? Should be. So no questions on that. I want to show you. Oh,
I'm sorry, I have a
raised their
question.
hand.
Yes. So for slide 7, for the Ask Fundraise, will they also be looking for well, I guess they may not necessarily be looking for sales if it's also businesses haven't started yet, but are you looking for sales or your sales projections as well, or just the ads and that broken down to be specific?
Well, thank you for asking that, because I did mean to say that actually on your lead generation page. When we talked about that math, they're going to want to see, I'm going to be doing these activities, which will generate 1,000 leads. I expect through my process to convert 200 of those leads to customers. My product service is priced at $10. So I can say in $2,000, I can make $2,000 a month in my business. Because what they want to be able to see is that, again, you need 30,000, they're giving you 5,000, but you're easily going to be able to make that through the sales of your business. So thank you for bringing that up. That number will be on slide 5. Yes, Jana.
So I have a question about like the leads to sales ratio, because my company has several different like departments. I've kind of been growing a couple of small businesses under the same umbrella for quite a long time while I'm home with my kids. So we have like this relatively large B2B corporate sales that we do, making custom things and corporate swag and that kind of stuff. And we do weddings and events. So that could be invitations, paper flowers, whatnot. We're kind of like a one-stop wedding event shop. But then we also have e-commerce store and a boutique and do wholesale of pre-made items that we make. And we do workshops. So on that particular page, it's like, well, if I do 10 sales through my e-commerce store, they average $40. But if I do a wedding, it's $2,000 to $5,000. If I have a corporate job, it could be like $5,000 to $10,000 per job. So how do I put that on one slide to say like, well, if I meet 10 corporate clients and they say yes, I have potential to make this much money, or if I reach a huge audience of people who happen to be looking for a gift right now and sell 300 orders on the website, it could make that much money.
Well, keep in mind the lead generation isn't what they want to see is you have direct activities that are creating predictable leads. So for you, you can either do an average month, since you've been in business for a long time. You can say on average, we have this many corporate clients, this many corporate leads, this many wedding and event leads, this many e-commerce leads that result in this many equivalent sales and this much equivalent dollars revenue.
Okay.
Or you can just pick one. If you say one of these is really where you're going to focus that $5,000. If you say, what are you going to do with that $5,000? Is it going to be in a single silo of your business, or are you going to spread it across all of those divisions?
Perfect. Thank you.
Liz,
Did
do you want
someone
to
else?
Yeah, she raised her hand.
Yeah, I just have a question. So the business that it's yet to launch, it's something that is a brand new concept that isn't done anywhere. So I'm having a hard time figuring out how to compare and come up with like the lead, the generation, the sales, all that, because it's literally not a thing. It's like a brand new concept.
Even if it's a brand new concept, it should be based on a problem that you've seen. And based on that problem, then you should be able to determine who is having that problem, who your customers will be.
Right, I know.
Even if it's a brand new.
It's the how do I predict how much I would make off of that, because it's kind of basically it's like a pre-RSVP. So it's something where people can people know, I don't know, it takes a minute to explain, but basically there isn't really anything else out there like it. So I don't really know. I know who my target audience is and things like that, but I don't know. There's nothing else in a monetary sense to base it on. So what it's going to be is you're going to go to the site and you can mark on there like, yes, I'll go to weddings. No, I won't go to weddings. And you can break it down. Because like there's so many of us who we either have social anxiety or we have kids and we don't have time, or we don't want to be invited because we know they just want a gift. So it's going to be kind of something like that. So there will be like a custom QR code that people or link that people can purchase. So I'm trying to figure out like, how do I base sales on that? Like, do you know what I mean? Because there's
I do.
there's nobody else who does that kind of thing.
But I want you to separate the product or service, the availability of the product or service from the lead generation, because even if it's a completely brand new, unique, unicorn, never heard before business, that business has to be born from a need and a group of people who have demonstrated that need. So that is your audience. That's where your lead generation is focused, not on the product or service, but on how many people are actually going to buy that. And that's research that you would have done before you decided this is going to be the business, because you heard people talking about it online. They've been complaining about it on social media. It's been a big news article or something. Something told you that this needed to be created. And then when you said that, then that should have been saying, these are the type of people who will spend the money on that link. And now based on that, here are the activities that I'm going to do on a monthly basis to reach those people and let them know that I exist. Does that make sense?
And then that I just predict by how many people the leads will generate. That's how I predict the sales. So I take kind of that percentage of the leads, like the 1,000 down to the 75, and then multiply it by what I'm going to charge. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. Other questions?
I have one.
Sure.
Listening to this, I'm like, oh my goodness. I kind of fell into my company and I didn't know it would be created into a lucrative business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm claiming lucrative. So, yet I'm hearing like a lot about how to get to the point of that equation. And for me, I think that's what I'm going to make sure that I'm focused on in these sessions, because I have to charge by the hour. But I have a minimum of 3 hours. Like I won't go to a party. If it's a 2-hour party, it's not worth me getting dressed and that. What I'm falling short on is how to increase my price.
Well, you first have to decide if that's the lever you need to pull. It may be that this is the promoter that you want to attract. How many promoters are in the building or in your area? How many promoters can you reach that will hire you for what you promote or what you deliver at the events? And say, is it that I need more promoters, or that I need a promoter that can send me to more events, or that I need promoters that will pay higher or less events per year? So what I hear, if I'm understanding your business model correctly, is how many events per year can I do? That's a capacity issue. How much do I need to make? And break that down into how many events is that per year. So let's say I only want to do 12 events in a year, one a month. In order to fund my lifestyle and keep this business going and keep me in the influencer realm, I'm going to need to make $250,000 a year. So if I'm doing one event a month, that's an easy divide, 250,000 by 12. Now, that number am I going to find one promoter or promoters who will pay me that amount in 1 month for one event? Or do I need to increase that to say, I need to do 3 events and I can find one promoter who will pay 50% of that and then 2 other promoters that'll pay 25%. It's all about when you know who your target customer is and the type of things that you want to do as a business, then you decide which lever gets pulled based on how you want your numbers to lay out.
Okay, because it's in between events, birthdays, but really a lot of I get hired more for community engagement events, things that would involve me infusing into community, whether it's Juneteenth, taking it to the streets, Friday Night Lives, or Rochester Fifth. What is it? The can't even think of Parcel 5. So I'm getting
Mhm.
invited into spaces where the community is like, you know what, we don't have a lot of energy, give us yours. And that's what I that's what I'm doing.
So
Yeah,
who's
more
who's
of.
the customer there? Is that a municipality or
And
an
that's
organization?
it depends. One could be Jefferson Ave, which would be the Funk Fest organization. Then it can turn over and be from that group. I got hired for 5 different retirement parties because of the people who participated. So I do 12 weeks on Jefferson, and then I turn around and I'm like getting calls to do a birthday party, a retirement party, backyard birthday party. So my voice is reaching the masses, and I think I just really have to learn how to hone that into a price point. Or does everything get a different cost?
I would say there is another element that you should consider, and that's your branding. And do you want to be known as the retirement party MC, or are you able and willing to say, at this level, my brand is such that you want me at a private event, it's going to cost you considerably. They call that there's a term for that I can't think of right now, but essentially it is the more access they get to you, the more it costs them. So you are on a big stage and you are commanding hundreds and thousands of people, then you might say, I'm not in the private party business for a couple of $100 an hour. And say, I'm going to use that experience of commanding those thousands of people to get bigger municipalities and bigger organizations and bigger promoters to hire me and pay me more money. That's just
And they've
a
already
little.
started calling me the community's daughter. So that, like, I've been that for over 20 years. Hey, there goes the community's daughter. She'll speak. Give her the mic. Just give her the mic. That's how my life is. So now we trying to make money to say, this is my life. Let's make it make sense.
Right. And that's really truly a branding. You deciding what your brand is, and is it going to be community's daughter that everyone has access to, or is it going to be something that's a higher tier pricing that is more available to people who can pay you? That's a choice that you have to. That's part of your business model that you have to decide.
This is Keto. Can I just add something
Sure.
to solar or community daughters? Something that has crossed my mind about you, and I'm so glad that we're able to exchange this because I've been thinking about you when you didn't know it.
Who is this?
You know me, but you don't know me, right? We've crossed paths.
Okay.
But one of the things that I thought about with you, you are an excellent hype person, moderator. A lot of corporations, and I'll just use M&T Bank as an example, when I was once with them and I was the national president over the African American Resource Group. And when we conducted the virtual Juneteenth events, when we were going through COVID, we needed someone to help us to steer the ship with the 6 regions of over 1,200 Black, brown employees that we were making sure we delivered that equity message to. So you can actually enter into a contract where you can have recognized income, and you can do it in milestones where you have deliverable dates, and then you can have milestone payments over the course of time, and just do a rinse and repeat type of concept. So you do a kickstart with M&T Bank, because guess what? They're the local community bank, and they want to do business with someone that looks like you. So that's the concept that has been on my heart, that I've been thinking about for you, and I just haven't had the chance to socialize it to you. So if you want to talk,
can we talk?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Please.
But that is a concept that can be real, and they are always welcome to be the one that sets the trend.
Correct.
Okay. I like
Good
that.
job. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Anyone else?
Yes. Hi, Kimberly. Hi,
Hello.
my name is Sophia, and I wanted to hop on because I'm the owner of Country Lux Co., which is a candle business based in Newark, New York. And since you did so many illustrations, analogies about candle businesses, I wanted to get your feedback on some of the things that we've been doing as of recent, and see if we're kind of in the right vein. And if what we need to do moving forward to be successful with the opportunity that we've been given through Pastone.
Okay.
So currently we're in the process of building a brick and mortar. More so our focus is manufacturing, not necessarily selling. We do want a small retail space, but we really want to primarily focus on creating a manufacturing plant where we can create the candles and possibly wholesale into major big box stores and retail chains, especially Target, Walmart, you name it. And the reason for that is being able to create jobs within our community. Newark was once known as a great place to manufacture, and unfortunately, with the times, that kind of dwindled. And so our focus is to bring it back to the community for revitalization. We had the wonderful opportunity of going to Waco and meeting Chip and Joanna Gaines at Magnolia. And so our concept is creating that here in our own community in Wayne County. We currently retail on Shopify. Yes, that's our platform, and all social media. So we have TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. We've also partnered with some major local hotels and a major show to reach out to us that we're in NDA for. So we can't necessarily disclose that, but we've just kind of been hitting the ground hard. Our candles are coconut soy. We have blended premium fragrances that we use. We hand pour everything. It's my husband and I. It started as a date night project, and it evolved into a business. The candles we actually passed out at our wedding was our signature candle, and kind of snowballed from there. So we have the story, but of course you need capital to scale. There is a demand, a huge demand, which we have been really successful at pop-up shops and small business Saturdays and different craft fairs. When we go, we get a huge following just through our social media. And it's been growing very successfully. So that's my spiel. And just wanted to get some feedback.
Well, it sounds like you're already on the ball. You already have it running. Your manufacturing, as you know, the key is going to be the relationships with the big box stores where you're going to be selling it. But I also would say, if you have an opportunity, find a way to add some of that exclusivity. I will tell you, there's a candle maker. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name now. And I will find that information and have it for the chat next week. But his candles
It's
literally
not skinny. It's not skinny wet candle, is it?
Say it again.
Is it skinny wet candle?
No.
Okay.
No. I think it's his name, because these candles cost like $10,000.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. And part of what is, I really can't, I'm not his target customer, because I can't figure out why anybody would pay $10,000 for a candle. But one of the things I know that he does is the container. They're big candles, but the containers are almost like art pieces. And he commissions custom work for
That's the
these
one.
containers. So I said that to say if there's an opportunity to include some sort of exclusivity or some sort of status in what you're creating, it sounds like you already have the platform to make that part successful.
Sorry, I was trying to come off mute. Yes, absolutely. That's the whole premise behind it is exactly what you just said, to create some of that exclusivity with our candles. Our whole concept is pretty much, our company is called Country Lux. My husband's country because he's from Wayne County. I'm from Miami, so I'm all things luxury. And that's the coin to how our company is. But it's the simplicity and the beauty of all things country, but at the same time with that luxury feel. And so that's literally the brand and how the company runs. When you meet us, it oozes that. And so that's what we bring to the table.
Nice. So you already have it. You're good. Now it's just a matter of execution.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so before we jump off, I want to play this video, which I hope it will play, of someone who is doing an actual pitch. Can everybody, let me pause this. Can anybody hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this pitch is an example of, minus the slides, the content is what you want to focus on. And she is lightning fast, but you can look this up online, a Gooder 60-second pitch, Gooder without an E. But that's really where you want to get to, not as fast, but as concise.
Hey, Kim, I don't think we can see that screen.
Oh, you can't?
You would probably have to stop
but
sharing.
You can't see it?
Yeah, so you would have to stop sharing the PowerPoint and then start sharing the YouTube video.
Do that then. Because that would make it much more impactful if you could see it. All right, what about now?
Okay, we should be.
Shaquille O'Neal?
Yep, we see it now.
I see
I don't see it.
All right,
I
let
don't
me see.
see
Can you?
There it is.
hear
Okay,
it?
we can hear her too. Yeah.
You can hear it?
Yep.
All right, so now I'm gonna, because I said she's fast, I'm going to shut my mouth and press play.
No, Kim, it's not working.
You can't really hear her.
Say again? You cannot hear her?
No.
No.
No, because it's
Okay,
fighting.
let me stop
Yeah.
this and
Give
do
me
it
1 second,
again.
Kim. I can share it on my end.
I think what I just have to do is say share sound. So let me see here.
Yes, okay, perfect. Yep.
And now back it up.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Crow, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Gooder.
Can you hear it now?
That's the one. Yep, we're good.
All right. So now I'm gonna play it from the beginning.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Crow, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Gooder, a sustainable food waste management company leveraging technology to combat hunger. Our blockchain-enabled mobile and web apps allow our clients that include restaurants, hotels, schools, catering companies, and convention centers to redirect their surplus food to organizations that feed people that are food insecure. Gooder is solving the food logistics problem. Our technology automates and manages the surplus food supply chain process and allows businesses to track and account for their donations. Since our humble beginnings in January of this year, our clients now include Turner Broadcasting Systems, Andretti's Indoor Karting and Games, and the world's busiest airport right here in Atlanta, ATL. We've recovered over 75,000 pounds of prepared foods and saved our clients over $700,000. At Gooder, our mission is simple: feed more, waste less. And we don't just have a dream, we have a plan. I'm inviting you to join us and do Gooder. Thank you.
So that was.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Crow,
wait,
and I am.
Wait, girl. So that was just 1 minute. You will have 4, but you want to be able to use those 4 minutes in a way that is as concise and specific as hers. So make sure when you're going through this outline and putting these things together that you have almost like single bullet points to start with and then expand from there. Somebody just had a hand raised.
We're good.
Okay.
It was
Great.
it was
That was
me.
me clapping.
Oh.
It was a virtual clap.
All right. So that actually concludes the presentation. Does anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? Everybody ready to get in line and start pitching?
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have a low voice. My name is Jamie. I was trying to get my video to work. I apologize that it's not working. But my name is Jamie Washington. I'm the owner of Tired Mommy. And my question to you guys is if you have any advice for me who has different parts of my business that I need help with focusing on. So I have a custom design side of Tired Mommy, and then which I do home decor, I do smoking accessories, things like that. And then I also have the main part of Tired Mommy, which I want to focus on tired mom specifically, um, luxury items, sleepwear, things like that, and showing the importance of prioritizing ourselves with self-care items and why that's important for a tired mom. But do you have any advice on a person like me who has different sides to show what I should use for this pitch? Because I don't know which part to lean towards. Is there like a way I can, if my question makes sense? Sorry.
Is one more profitable than the other?
Yes. Well, currently, to answer your question, yes, it is because I'm pushing the custom side currently. When I first started it, it was easier to process, if that makes sense, and to push out to, um, I guess, the masses or, vendor events, things like that. Whereas the tired mommy side, the luxury side is more, it took a little bit more thought. So that's the side that I want to push out here going forward, if that makes sense. But both of them are still strong. I feel like they should be able to stand on their own and work together. So I'm kind of struggling with that part.
When you think of the first question that I have do these have the exact same target customer?
No. So my custom design side, I literally have I'm focused more on the smoking accessory side, and that's more men is more actually attracted to that part, to be honest. That I get more men, interested in those items. Rather it is who's actually buying it, or like you said, a person who's buying it for a man.
My philosophy has been, and this may or may not work for you, but my philosophy has always been if you've got different target customers, those are different businesses. Because you're
Yes.
going to want to, your marketing, your messaging, your business model, all of that is going to be based on your target customer. So if you have 2 different ones, then you're pretty much running 2 different businesses.
Right.
And then I would say, based on that, again, how will you use that $5,000? Will it be to support this one, the smoking accessories, or the tired mommies? And if you're going to, whichever one you're going to use the money for, that's the one that I would include in the pitch.
Okay. I have to make some decisions. Thank you.
Other questions? Well, thank you all for hanging in here. I just realized at 7:39 that I forgot to give you a break. So you'll make sure you have a break on Tuesday. Don't let me just run my mouth and be like, put in that chat, hey, where's our break? You said we were gonna have a break. You're supposed to have a break. So Thursday is a shorter class, 5 to 6:30, but we will be talking more about the business model, more about how to really flesh that out and get it solidified so that you can use that then to move forward and begin to fill in some of that other information about your businesses. So
Question
if no
really
one
quickly.
has any other questions, thank you all for hanging in here with
I
us
have a
tonight.
question. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
How are you guys taking attendance? Are you going by the chat or how does that work? How do we get credit?
Who is this? Is this Candace?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Candace. So I'm looking at the participants list. So that's why it's really important that everyone put down their real name on there that they registered with. I think Saved and Slayed, I asked you in the comments there to see if you could give me the name that you registered with. So if you could put that in the chat, I would appreciate it. Got it, Lucinda, thank you. So yeah, guys, that's how we're keeping track. You're in the participants list, and then if we need to do any, if I need to like ask you, just make sure to look at the chat because I'll ask you if I have any questions during class. But everyone got everyone was checked off today from the attendance list. And if you have any like specific questions about coming in late, things like that, please feel free to email me. But yeah, and look out for that email. It's going to come out after class. Or excuse me, by tomorrow, it's going to have the PDF slides and also the link to the video. But other than that, guys, thank you. This was great. And thank you, Kim. You're the best.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Thank you so much, Kim.
You too. Thank you.
Yes. Good night. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.